Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy BARBIEUX is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Welcome to the August 2026 episode of CAM Matters. It's going to be a doozy today. We're going to talk about resolutions and all kinds of technical things. But first,
that you don't like.
I'm going to do a lot of listening and learning today and asking questions on lower shelf questions. So just bear with me. But first, we still have a little time before the YES conference. And I want to give one final push for that. Let's talk about that.
We've got just a very little short period of time. Registration pretty much closed.
Officially, yeah.
But if you still want to get in, if you will call me, I can open registration back up and let you in. Our room is plenty big. We're not going to run out of room.
Okay.
There is a point where I have to decide how many people to feed.
Right. How many cookies does Miss Debbie need to make, right?
Debbie has to make. There is a point where I have to make that determination.
Right.
But there's still a chance. August 13th and 14th, Thursday and Friday, in Leesburg at the Venetian Center. 2 days of wonderful information, education, networking, food, cookies, and all the credits that you need. And for those who are HOA managers, you will get those extra credits that you're now required to have.
And it's a big year. It's important.
Yeah.
So about 85% repeat, but
everybody's credits are due this year. Mm-hmm. Everybody ends on the same day.
Okay. If you've been before, maybe think about one person that could use this information and invite them.
Yeah.
Let them know. So anything else before we move into the resolutions?
You're trying to stall because you don't want to talk.
Let's talk about what happened for 4th of July weekends or something. No, I'm just joking. It's resolutions. It's important. It's just it's more technical. But it's really important because if there's not an understanding and especially in written, I mean, it's a mess. It's things fall through in major ways. So talk to me about what the heart is behind this show and why you want to do it and what some of the things you're seeing are.
So one of the things that happens, and probably every community has it in some form or another, the documents. When I'm saying documents, I mean the declaration, whether it's a declaration of condominium or a declaration of covenants in the HOA, or if it's your proprietary lease, your bylaws in the co-op, whatever your governing documents are, it is likely that there are parts in them that are vague and nondescript. They will use generic kinds of phrases.
On purpose.
I guess.
Okay.
I think some of that is true, that it's on purpose in the beginning because it gives the developer a lot of leeway as what he or she can do or wants to do. But it's a nightmare then once the owners take over and are trying to manage with vague documents. I remember where I used to live, it was a homeowners association. Now, mind you, it was quadruplex buildings, 4 units to a building, a two-story unit, 4, with a mansard roof with a flat roof on top. As a homeowners association, the way those documents read, each of us, 4 owners, was responsible for our quarter of the building, including our corner of the mansard roof that goes this way.
Oh, okay.
And a quarter of the flat part, which has to be sealed. Now, do you think you can get 4 owners to do their mansards, cedar shingle?
I mean, my goodness, I could see people up there going, nope, it's an inch over on your side, Wow.
And do you think you could get 4 people to cool seal the flat roof?
No.
So it should have been organized as a condominium, but it was not. So now we're stuck with these documents, and any modifications that the owners wanted to do to the outside of their quarter of the building had to be according, now this is a quote, according to the scheme and design of the developer. Oh, okay. Well, what is that? Okay.
Right.
So we didn't have any guidelines at all of what to approve, disapprove. Can you add a screened-in porch? Can you change your door color? You know, each of
None of that.
courtyards had a cedar fence, 6-foot fence around it. You know, what do you do?
Right.
Owners were wanting to do a few things to the outsides, which we could because it's a homeowners association and we owned a quarter of the outside of the building.
A quarter of it.
So so our board,
Wow.
I'm on that first board. I'm just beginning to understand about homeowner associations. I've not really ever heard about them before or paid any attention to them. And I'm also just at that point beginning to do training for Gray Systems. And a lot of you know Fred Gray and Gray Systems. So he was my mentor. So as I'm on this board that we don't know anything, I'm asking Fred all these questions of how do we do this? How do we do that? And one of the things that he suggested to me, and I'm giving him credit for that, and then I'm passing it along, was, well, he said, you can do a resolution. Well, now I'm an old legal secretary, so I know what a resolution is. And I'm like, oh, like how? Tell me, you know. And he said, well, you know, he gave me some steps to do it. And man, I'm just going to go right down there and type that thing right up.
Yeah.
So here's,
I got this.
Yeah, I got this. I'm an old legal secretary.
Yeah.
He told me how to get unstuck. Because here you have a document that says uniform and harmonious according to the scheme and design of the developer. Well, we don't know what to approve or disapprove. And we need something on paper to point to and say, this is why we're approving it or disapproving it.
Right.
It needs to be on paper. Well, in that case, an amendment to the documents would be the right way to do it. But amendments to the documents sometimes require 75% of the members from them. And if you've got hundreds of owners, it might take a while to get 75%.
Yeah.
I'm working with one community now that to do any amendments in their documents, it's 95%.
Wow.
Membership to approve an amendment. And what they want to do is amend that document to change that 95% number to something more reasonable, but they have to get 95% to do that first.
Isn't that ironic?
So they're stuck. They're never going to be able to amend their documents. Never.
Wow.
And in a couple of shows back, I mentioned the attorney who wrote these, and this is who I'm thinking about, and she didn't have a clue what she was doing. And
how are things going with that? What's going on with that?
She wrote the most horrible documents, gave them the wrong bylaws. She gave them the bylaws for a Chapter 607 corporation instead of the bylaws for a Chapter 617 corporation.
Oh,
I mean, she just hasn't still yet has not turned over the turnover audit that she was supposed to have turned over. She's working on it. But anyway, one of the things that we did in the association that I used to live in was based on Fred's advice, do this resolution to outline the architectural standards for the community. Excuse me. To outline the standards. The board member, one of the board members had a construction engineering kind of background. So he went around to each of the two styles of buildings and wrote out all the exterior materials, paint colors, shingles, types, brands, fence.
Very specific. Yes.
Very specific. Yes. You can, the screening and screen enclosures, what colors aluminum, all those kinds of things. He came back with 3 pages of details of what the standards of the 2-story buildings are and the 1-story buildings. So we did a resolution that said something like this: whereas the documents call for architectural modifications to be uniform and harmonious according to the scheme and design of the developer, and whereas that's unclear, I'm shortening, and
Yeah.
as we need to know,
Right. Right.
and whereas owners want to make modifications, now therefore, these are the standards that we will use to approve or disapprove
Okay.
modifications. And so that resolution is about 3 pages long.
But you have a starting point. You've got a foundation to build on.
They have a place to start from.
Right.
And by the time I left that community, I was there about 18 years. By the time I left, they were still using it. They were still
No
using
kidding.
it because I think it had been put on paper.
Right.
And the paper actually has a perceived authority, so to speak. Well, it's written right here.
Right.
And I was amused that to find that when somebody said it's written right here, I was amused to see that it was what I wrote.
Right. I know it's written right there. It was me.
Yeah.
What are some of the ramifications of not having something so clear like that? I mean, it's not just confusing. There's legal problems, right?
The board sits here and does this. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I cannot stand inaction. I cannot stand putting the same thing back on the agenda month after month after month. Well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, you get an attorney's opinion here, you get an attorney's opinion there, and now you're spending all this money. You really need to do an amendment, but in the meantime, you need to move forward.
Right.
People need to know, what kind of modifications can I make? And if you don't do something, then they're going to go on and do whatever they want to do anyway. So
that's so true.
Resolution, in my mind, what the resolution does, it means that this board has recognized an issue. They have thought about it. They've talked about it. They have come up with a temporary solution so that they can move forward. It shows thought. It shows intent. And that they intended to fix, temporarily at least, this issue. And it's not the same as just making an off-the-cuff, oh, well, yeah, that's okay, go on and do whatever you want to do. Here, I'm going to just type you out a permission of, yeah, your whatever you want to do is approved. This shows and that it was intentional. They recognized an issue. They recognized that something needed to be done. They recognized that an owner needed an answer, and the board wanted to create a basis for their answer.
Right. That foundation. It seems very reasonable. What other business would you be in where there's not a foundation of an understanding of where everybody's starting at?
Right. You've got to have rules. Right. And I'm using the word rules loosely, but you've got to have like your Declaration of Independence. I mean, you've got to have a place to work from, which are your documents. But documents, they're your declaration articles and your bylaws, they're often vague and don't give current boards, not developer people, but they don't give current boards any guidance of how to make a decision.
So there's confusion, there's frustration, but there's also legal ramifications if it's done wrong.
Yeah. If an owner says, well, I want a pool above the ground, and the documents don't specify what kind of pool, but a pool above the ground in this community with $1 million homes would be awful.
Right.
Then the board can define what swimming pool is.
Right.
And can begin then to be consistent in making decisions on what their definition of a swimming pool. I had a community, the one with the attorney who wrote the horrible documents, they were asking me to help them with some resolutions. One of them was the documents say that the owners can, it's a very rural community, they can have a 4-board wooden fence. Okay, well, 4-board wooden fence with how tall, how much space in between the,
Right.
you know, like, okay, 4 board, all right, well, that could be 8 feet tall with
Right.
boards every, you know,
Right. There's only 4.
it's
Right.
only 4.
Yeah.
I
Right.
can just see it, you know. So, and owners wanted a there was a prohibition on any kind of wire fencing or chain link or anything like that, or the vinyl. So that it had to be only a 4 board wooden fence. But owners wanted to be able to put the no climb wire
Mm-hmm.
on the inside of it so that critters can't come through or their
Oh,
dogs
okay.
can get out.
Right.
And so what I helped them do was do a kind of like a resolution for whereas you know the documents say 4 board fence, whereas we need to define 4 board fence.
Right.
Then we went on and moved into the variance of letting them attach the no climb colored wire on
Interesting.
the inside of the boards. So that allowed them to move forward with identifying, not only clarifying the fence height.
Right.
They decided 4 board fence no more than 54 inches tall.
Okay. Okay.
However
Just communicating, just
yeah,
getting
however you
being
want to put
specific.
the 4
Right.
boards in there, but no taller than 54 inches.
Right.
And then the no climb wire tacked to the inside so that they could let their dogs out in the yard without them going through the boards.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
The other thing that they asked me to help them do was that some owners, and these are really big lots, they're probably close to, some of them might be close to half an acre lots. And some owners are buying more than one. And you can go to the building department, county building department, and they will combine those, so to speak,
Okay.
one lot so that you can build in the middle of
Mhm.
2
Mm-hmm.
instead of over to one
Go
side.
to the one side. Right.
But what needed to be clarified was it's still 2 lots. It's 1 lot for building purposes, but for billing purposes for the association, it's still 2 lots. So you still owe 2 assessments or special assessments. It's not one lot.
Wow.
1 payment. It's 2 payments.
It's 2, right? Mm-hmm. Betsy, let's take a quick break here. We're going to come back, wrap up resolutions. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Betsy, we're having fun talking about resolutions today for the
No,
August 2026.
You don't like this topic at all.
It's very tactical, very statistical. And so I'm doing a lot of learning and listening, but we're talking about resolutions. Let's pick up where we left off.
Well, I've got we were talking about the combining the lots resolution.
1 building, but 2 billings.
Right, but with two
Right.
assessments. It might be 1 lot for building purposes, but it's still 2 assessments. I've got one here that I'll read. It's not real long, so that people can get kind of an idea of what one might look like. I'm going to turn away here and read.
Okay.
So I'm reading from the minutes. So there's a little bit of introductory language here that says the subject of owners combining lots for building purposes was discussed by the board, and the need to clarify the lot assessments that would be due. On motion made by Tom and seconded by Nancy, the following was unanimously approved. Whereas there exists the possibility that an owner may purchase adjoining lots, and whereas there exists the possibility that owners may combine these lots to be used as a single building site. And whereas if lots are combined as a single building site, there could be confusion about the lot assessment due. Now, therefore, for regular and special assessment purposes, though the lots have been combined as a single lot for building purposes, they are still separate lots, and each will bear its pro rata share of the annual and special assessments. So
It just sounds like good communication to me. It just sounds like
it's clarity.
exactly.
It's clarity. And the whereases kind of state the reasoning for what you're going to say now, therefore.
Right.
It's I would call it precatory language. It states the reasoning and then gives you the conclusion. So it is a very intentional, very thought out decision. And now the board can say, well, it's two.
Right. Where does that start? Where does the question about resolutions begin, and how does it get to the board and to get voted on and get to this point?
Well, you probably realize too late, and a lot of boards don't know about this. They don't know they can do this. But it's where you keep getting stalled. It's the hand wringing. What do we do? 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 It's the hand wringing. Well, an owner wants an answer. They want an answer. Well, we don't know what to do because the documents just say
resolution
harmonious according to the scheme design.
Right.
Yeah. They use vague language. And where the language is vague, until you can get an amendment. And in the case of the one community I'm talking about, they'll never have an amendment. They never will, because it requires a 95% vote of the membership.
Which is ironic because it's about trying to get less than 90. Never mind. Okay. So, okay.
But
yeah, I see your point.
I mean, they will never get an amendment.
Right.
So and maybe, I don't know, 10 years from now they might, but right now there are only 5 owners that live on the 54 lots. It's brand new, absolutely brand new.
Wow.
It's not like they've got everybody there and they could go door to door.
Right. Wow, that is another hurdle, huge hurdle.
It's a brand new community. And I think they've got maybe 5 or 6 houses that are built. And the other 50-something people, close to 50, don't live there yet.
You're not going to get it.
No. So at this stage, they're not going to get an amendment. I'm not being negative about it. It's just it's not.
Right.
It's different when you can go door to door.
Right.
But
what do you think about having, and this might be a stupid question, but just kind of more generalized. I mean, what's the normal? 95% sounds very high. What's
95 is very, very high. And it's ironic because the attorney that I don't think highly of also put in those documents that it only takes 75% of the membership to dissolve the corporation.
Okay.
It makes no sense at all. Think it's the opposite. Yeah. Usually for an amendment, you'll see the numbers like 2/3 of the membership or 75% of the membership.
A little bit more reasonable,
which is more reasonable. And it actually should kind of be a little bit of a challenge to do amendments.
Okay.
Because what you're amending is the contract among the owners.
Okay. It's got to be purposeful and thought out. And
it really kind of needs to be a chore to do it because you are changing a contract. And a majority of the parties to the contract, which are the owners, they're the one they get to say whether they want their contract changed.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So just dumbing it down to 50%, it's probably not a good thing. You've got to think through this and have it on purpose.
50% is, or majority is probably a little low, unless, now there's always unless. Now, if you've got 3,000 homes in a community, 50% or 40% would be a good number. But if you've got 3,000 homes and you're trying to get 75% for an amendment,
right?
So probably the bigger the community, the lower the number percentage could be.
Right.
To be reasonable. But the resolutions keep the board moving forward. I don't like seeing them argue with each other. Another community I've been talking with, they're having a disagreement about some policies of what their social committee can do and not do, and they're all arguing with each other.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And so this side, and they're calling me, this side, wants me to agree with them. And this side, I'm not their manager. And this side wants me to agree. And I'm saying, I'm not going to agree with either side, but what you have done is identified a problem that needs a resolution.
Right.
And
the perfect solution. Yeah.
You need to decide how you want this to proceed the next time it happens. Create a policy, and you can do it in a resolution format with the whereas we're arguing about this, and whereas we need an answer, and whereas the committee needs to know what to do.
Right.
Therefore, this is what you do. And settle it instead of going, well, you're wrong, you're right, I'm right, you're right. Instead of arguing back and forth, then the board just needs to settle it.
Right.
And you can do it in your minutes at a board meeting. It's an agenda item, and settle it so that people know how to proceed. This just came to mind, which may or may not have anything to do with this, but people do like rules. They do like to know the boundaries. Now, there will always be people who push them,
right?
Like them. But I remember years and years ago when Adam, who is now 42 years old, those of you who have followed me with Adam for years, he's 42 years old.
Wow.
When he was little, our backyard was not fenced in. We had a hedge, but it was a little short hedge, but it wasn't fenced in. And we never had any neighborhood kids come over and play. And we decided to put up a fence. And we put up a fence, and all the neighborhood kids came to play.
No kidding.
They like the boundary. They like the boundary. They like
to safe.
And that was the most amazing thing, because
that is a great example.
They didn't come when it was just a short little hedge, which I would have, as a kid, I would have been jumping over it like a horse. I'd have played over on top of the hedge, jumping over it. But that wasn't a big toss. It was probably only up to your knees. But when we
gave them security and boundaries.
But when we put the fence in,
interesting.
They came to play.
Well, it's very difficult when you're trying to read people's minds too. There's a lot of wiggle room for mistakes when, I think they mean in this. Just be specific.
Just go on and decide what it means.
Yeah, right.
I was trying to think. I had another example of one, but now it escaped me.
All right.
But resolutions are a way to move forward and clarify what is vague, and move on. Now, with a resolution, the last thing I can say here about that, another board can undo it.
Okay.
Another board, it's not permanent. A resolution is not permanent. So another board can change it or undo it or ignore it, I guess. But it's in your minutes. The resolution is in your minutes. It was an agenda item, and it's just a longer motion in your minutes. So it does have documentary authority. Your minutes do have authority.
Okay.
Your minutes, if we're going up in hierarchy here, you've got your minutes, your rules and regulations, your bylaws, articles, and declaration.
Okay.
So the higher up you go, the more authority they have. So what that means is the one above in the list,
that's the current one. That's the right.
Wins if there's a discrepancy or something between the two, the one
Right.
above wins.
Okay.
Your minutes, your motions in your minutes have authority. They're the lowest in the hierarchy of authority, but they still have authority.
Right.
That's why we have them, is because your minutes are basically to defend you when you get sued in court.
Mm.
That's what minutes ultimately are for. Besides the fact that they're historical, they
Right.
give you the history and the decisions of the
They
community.
put it on record. Right.
Right. They also will be what defends you when an owner decides to sue you because they don't like the decision you made, but the decision was based on the authority in your minutes.
Okay. Very good.
Well,
this has been a lot of information. Real quick before we wrap up, because we're in pink and flamingos, just as a final reminder, sign up for yes.
Yeah. Still have time to register, but hurry up, because registration by the time this is shown has probably officially closed. But call me and I'll get you in.
Yeah, she knows a girl who knows a girl who knows a girl. So Betsy, it was good hanging out with you. Thank you for this really great informational episode. If you have enjoyed this, rate it, rank it, tell somebody about it. Betsy puts a lot of time and love into these episodes with CAM Matters, and we thank you. We'll see you, oh my gosh,
September
2026 for the next episode. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.